You are listening to Shaoni, Born from the Light, by Iowan, read by Kevin M. Connolly. Chapter 51, From the Future, Looking Back. Imagine yourself living in the future, a utopic future in which all of humanity's dearest wishes have already been realized. Then, from that future, look back at the world we live in and imagine yourself sending energy into the now, helping us to get there where we aren't yet. Imagine we all did that once a week. Somewhere in the future. To them, it all sounded unbelievable. To say that only a few generations ago, people didn't even know. Incredible! They really thought the world was bad, that life was hard. They thought the material world was all there really was. They didn't know about the energies. Didn't know they were connected to it all. They thought it was all about them and the world around, and about something they called the struggle for life. And what a struggle it was. The children all listened to the stories the elders told. These stories they in turn had heard from their grandfathers, and they said it had really happened. It weren't just stories. No, it all really happened. And not so very long ago either. The children were sitting around the fire. They could hardly believe their own ears. Some of the older boys said they were just fairy tales. People could never have been that stupid. The younger ones, however, were mesmerized. To think you were living in a world of fear and anger, constantly being on your toes. To think you were all on your own, with nobody around to help. Wow, they said. They liked it, loved it, these scary stories that the elders told. Fortunately, they knew it was all in the past now. Imagine the idea you were really living it, living your life, convinced that everything was just coincidence, that you had no power, nothing you could do, and the only thing to be sure about was that, at any moment, it could get worse than it already was. The only thing you could do was to brace yourself and hope for the best. That is, until that one day when it all started to change. And that was the story the elder was going to tell them today. As they all sat down in front of the fire, they started to create that intense feeling of all being one, the sharing, as they called it. Right, said the elder, as if to give a signal the story was about to begin. Unconsciously, the children sitting around reached out to hold on to each other. Right, said the wizard in turn. Shaoni looked up. Right? Right, the wizard repeated. Yes? And? Well, that's where it ends, Shaoni. What do you mean that's where it ends? The story was only just about to start. Yes, but still, for the moment, that is where it ends. If you want it to continue further, you will have to write it yourself. What do you mean? Well, just as I said, Shaoni, this story hasn't been completed yet. It is being written as we speak. How it ends is still uncertain. It all depends on what we do, what we decide to make of it. So, this story isn't sure yet? No, not if you don't make it happen. What do you mean, if I don't make it happen? 100 years from now, how would you rather have it be, Shaoni? Where would you rather have your kids be? Make a choice and then act accordingly. Or do you still think there is nothing you can do? You know you have the power. You know you have the knowledge. You know you have the tools. Why don't you just make it happen, my boy? Shaoni felt a bit overwhelmed by what the wizard just said. To say that it was all up to him now. And then, of course, there is you. The wizard suddenly added, Yes, you, listening to these stories. Will you help this last story to be written? Will you help in creating this world? A world of higher understanding, a world for your children to live in. Will you consider offering this gift to yourself and to those coming behind? Thank you for enjoying this chapter of Shaoni, Born from the Light. To hear more of these stories, please visit www.shaoni.net/audio. If you prefer to receive all of these stories in print, visit www.shaoni.net/book.